All right, let's get right into it then. Woo! Peace. Welcome back. Secret House Against the World, Tokyo Hip Hop Art and Culture. Discussions today. We've got our man Scott Popular with us.
Bang, 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 bang.
I need to turn on a 404 so I get the sound bank, you know what I mean? Yeah, and as you can see in the title, today we got together to discuss the new Estee Nack project that just came out on Griselda called Nacksaw Jim Dugan.
Ho!
USA, USA.
That's right.
14 songs, 51 minutes, an album.
Yeah.
He's a frequent collaborator of the cats in the Griselda stable, and this is his first joint to come out on the label, I believe, and it's curated by Westside Gunn. I love the album cover off rip. I like the album cover.
Yeah, album cover's hard.
I like how they freak it with the wrestler names and that whole aesthetic that they do. I need to get me a fucking wrestler name that.
Well, hold on. Before you get a wrestler name, you got to pick your favorite wrestler.
I mean, my favorite wrestler ain't going to translate to like a Nacksaw Jim Dugan type of thing. I got to come up with something that's like.
So you wanted to go into it.
I mean, my favorite wrestler, like I like Bret the Hitman Hart when I was younger.
Okay.
I like fucking Bam Bam Bigelow.
Okay.
I guess I could be Bam Bam Megalo. But you know what I mean? All I know is I don't like Big Boss Man. I was against him. I was also against
Big Boss Man's a part of Georgia, so I gotta like.
But he was hard, but you know what I mean. I also like who was Repo Man, the cat that used to wear like the tires and shit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Repo Man and shit. I don't know who you got, Jet.
I don't know, man. I don't know shit
wrestling?
about pro wrestling.
Yeah, right. Stone Cold Jet.
Man. Come on now.
Stone Cold Jet Axel.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just listening to this podcast Behind the Bastards by Robert Evans. He talks about like the shittiest people in history, and he's currently like 5 parts into a 6-part episode about Vince McMahon and how he's just like one of the worst people to ever live.
Yeah.
Just like a complete monster.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, literally every bad thing you can imagine a person has done, like Vince has got like a thing, he's
I can
got a
see
toe
that.
in there somewhere.
Of course. You don't
I
get
can
to
see
that
that.
position unless you a nasty motherfucker. Who you gonna be, Scott Popular?
I don't know,
Honky
man.
Tonk Scott.
Honky Tonk Scott Popular.
Yeah, Honky Tonk Scott Popular.
Who's also like The funny thing is, the Honky Tonk Man is like really best friends with Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah, in
But
real life.
Yeah, in real life. But I think if anything, I gotta go with gotta be Ultimate Scott Popular Warrior.
Okay.
Because that gorilla press is what goes down. But you gotta give respect. You always gotta give respect to none other than the only one wrestler that you really need to know is Macho Man Randy Savage.
Easy. I like Ultimate Warrior when I was a kid too, because we talking like mad nonsense. Load the spaceship up with the rocket fuel, loaded with the bodies of the warriors and the blood that flows through the veins of the warriors.
That's very 5% in a different galaxy. Or
Yeah, you know
shit,
what I mean.
Right?
He definitely a 5%er. He god body on that shit too. But but yeah, man.
God body, steroids and cocaine.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to the God, Ultimate Warrior. But what I like to do when we review an artist that we haven't talked about before, especially when we have a guest, how do y'all know Estee Nack? Are you familiar?
You want me to get into it? Yeah. I mean, he's a close affiliate of the whole Griselda crew, of whom I am a fan. I've never listened to a full Estee Nack record before, but he's featured on multiple things that we've reviewed before as well. And just contextually, I mentioned several, months, maybe even a year or two ago, that I was kind of burnt out on Griselda related content. But honestly, like, I kind of still have a lot of appreciation for the, outer Griselda unit, outside of the main 3 guys.
38 Special, those type of cats.
For sure.
I'm a big fan of Nack. I've been a fan of him for some time now. I think the first joint that I really started paying attention to was Akira on Acid, which is dope.
Ooh, okay.
That one is
nice
dope.
title right there.
I think it was last year, the Triple Black Diamonds 2 was like my dark horse 11th pick of the year, and that's him and Aldivino, and I just like Nack, especially because I'll get into that later, but yeah, I'm a fan of Nack. How about you, Scott Popular?
This was actually my first time hearing about Estee Nack, but I'm very familiar with the whole Griselda and the 3 main particles in the middle, and these subgroups. So I'm always delighted to get to review one of these projects. I love what they're doing sonically.
Yeah.
I want to say, this is just me, that I think they're voyaging onto this whole like kind of RZA. Like their sound is extremely unique.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like what they're doing.
You know, some of the other artists, and one of the reasons I got kind of burnt out on Griselda is like, you know, Conway is really dope rapping. Benny is really dope rapping for different reasons. They approach it different ways. But as they gain their popularity, they kind of move more into those recognizable sounds and even leaning into some of the nostalgia shit. Like some of the beats sound like New York 90, I mean, not 90, but like 2004 Dipset, you know what I mean? Like that type of vibe. And I do like the experimental aspects of it. And that's why I'm kind of a big fan of the earlier Griselda work, and also cats like Estee Nack and Al Divino, who still are extremely experimental. Like ST dropped an album this year with V Dawn called Brap. And I actually, just right off rip, I guess we can get into the album. Yeah, I like that project more than this one.
Okay.
I'd like to say a lot of things that I like about Nack, and I'll get into that. But for this album, I was a little bit disappointed with it in the sense that when I heard that Westside Gunn was curating it, I kind of expected to be elevated a little bit above the other albums that Estee Nack does. I was kind of hoping for like a Pray for Haiti type of Makami collab where it's new and it sounds different. Now, Nack's music on this album, you know, it's dope, but even like the conductor beat,
we have a problem.
It's like it didn't even hit for me like that, and I don't know if I'm an outlier or whatever, but but before I start hating on the album, which I really don't have any hate other than that, yeah, I fucking like this album. I like it. I like quite a few tracks on it, especially you guys know, like I'm former Godbody and shit, and he sprinkles, you know, he sprinkles
a lot of wisdom.
Yeah,
Today's
well, I mean,
math is definitely here.
Well, I don't know if I want to call it well, I mean, I'll let it slide and call it wisdom, but it's definitely Godbody shit sprinkled all throughout. You know, at least in terms, not so much in terms of like teaching the 5% theology or anything, but he's going to hit you with like a soul controller. He's going to hit you with Police Justice. He's going to hit you with, you know, a lot of the kind of slang that is used by 5%ers, and that shit is hard. I especially like his fucking stacking style. Like me and my brother Sot, we used to call it stackaging, like, because it's like he hits you with a lot of ideas, and a lot of times it'll be like he'll end with a word and then he'll do another variation of the word. It's not a homonym, but he'll continue stacking like that. And some of that shit is just fucking like super ill to me. He'll say some shit like hold on. See the megalithic structure, gold wings on the breeze, Pegasus Russian versus Ukraine, God versus the devil since circa Genesis, Snake versus the crane, hero versus the evil nemesis. And it's just like, his voice is dope. And so it make all those stacks sound super dope. And I like this album.
One thing that I do really appreciate both about this record and just things that get released on Griselda in general is that even though there is like a formula, and this is definitely an album that fits a lot with that formula, you know, the sort of grittiness of the beats, that, you know, early mid 2000s, even to an extent like, you know, late 90s RZA production kind of thing. Everybody does come with their own style.
Yeah.
And Estee Nack, he freaks it a little different to the usual Griselda kind of formula. You know, for a start, I understand that there's some baggage when it comes to like black Dominicans.
Sure.
And this idea, you know, I'm not black, I'm Dominican. Yeah. He says nigga on the album a bunch of times, so I think, you know, that it's fair to say, you know,
he's embraced.
He's Afro-Dominican.
He's embracing that element of his identity. Right. But also, I really like that he freaks it in that way. He's representing like a country that, you know, you don't hear that much, you know, kind of use, and you know, also as kind of a parallel to, you know, like how Marcomi always reps Haiti, which is obviously same island. And, you know, he freaks a little bit in Spanish as well, and he puts a bit of that kind of flavor on it. And that was something, a lot of Spanish on there, and that's dope to me. I kind of appreciate that.
Maybe having me trying to speak in Spanish and shit. I mean, still loco. I don't even know what I'm saying and shit, but I'll be like, hey, I like that shit. Yeah, that shit do sound hot. What do you think about it, Scott?
Cover art. Let's get back to it.
All right.
Nacksaw Jim Dugan.
Woo.
This is, just in case you didn't know, that is Nacksaw Jim Dugan, an oil painting. Yep. Okay. Maybe Westside Gunn actually really curated the art. This is just me, and if this works, I want my 35%. I'll just straight up commission. So these projects that they're putting out, right, and these like pictures, I don't know who's doing them. No idea, no clue, no affiliation. But what I want to say is this: if there's a gallery with this art up, I think that's a smart move. Like putting the art and the music together. I don't know what the other project looked like, but I think this is a good way to go.
That's something that this label does a lot and does very well, right? There's like always, even though it's gritty and it's very street, there's always like that opulent kind of sheen over the top. I don't want to call it respectability because I feel like that's kind of a loaded term, but you know, the oil painting, even, you know, this kind of image of like this distinctly like jingoistic American character. I had to do all this reading in advance because I didn't know who Hacksaw Jim Dugan was.
Oh, okay.
You know, with his
British,
with his 2x4.
They got British Bulldog.
And shouts out British Bulldog. He's got his 2x4 and then he's holding the Dominican flag. And, you know, it's kind of this inversion of the, you know, whole USA thing that Jim Dugan, who also appears on this record. I assume it's him and not an impersonator.
That's him.
What are those joints called where you could pay somebody to give you like a birthday message?
A cameo?
Yeah,
right.
I think that's probably what that shit was.
I'm pretty sure it was. I mean, because like their whole camp is like they're really into wrestling.
Oh, Westside Gunn be at the front row, WrestleMania and shit all the time.
So,
Monday Night
like,
Raw or whatever they do. They got
like,
that shit.
They definitely have some kind of affiliation, some kind of ties, and it works out very well. And I was like super surprised because I was like, did they really get Hacksaw Jim Dugan to do the drop for Angel Dior? Yeah. But then later on in Telephone Commando, you find out it is him, and he's telling that story about the dude that broke in his house, and he had to go in the
threatened him with a gun, tackled him.
Well, the album starts off with fucking Tucker Carlson's bitch ass with like a news
talking about
odd choice, but I mean like I you know, some of the like there's not so many deeper themes into the album and shit, and you kind of have to read into it. You know, they've got the 5% skit, which is, you know, very reminiscent of like it's King Asiatic Allah on that, who I don't personally, I've never heard of him as a god body, but you know, shout out to him. But you know, like there's this layer of, you know, he's a street cat, but he also is not one that's talking. He talks more since like the past life of him selling drugs,
right?
And not so much as like I do that now. There's even joints on that album where he's like, you know, rap don't make as much money, but it's safer.
Easier. It's easier than safer. Yeah,
and I feel that too. And there's also kind of this. And I don't want to say it's more like in a passive way. The skits kind of highlight how he was pushed into the drug game because of poverty, and also it being a part of his Dominican culture, who their material conditions have also been really ravaged due to sanctions and things like that, and you know, just the state that the country is in, and it plays largely into, you know, how youths get caught up in that culture, and to me it really ties in well with the 5% theme. The Dominican and 5% theme, because most of your 5%ers these days and historically, I think they find God body through prison, you know, and
later on,
and me, I didn't find God body through prison. I found it through my father, and then through meeting other God bodies who bore me to more knowledge and put me on. And for me, I thought that participating in his God body, first off, it made me stand taller. It's like one of those things. Historically, black men were seen as like, you know, especially biblically, we're the cursed sons of Ham, you know, like we're not real people, like that shit, you know, and so when you find out genetically, like through science, that it must have been a primordial Eve that created human species, and everything devolved from, you know, recessive genes to create all the other races. It's empowering, and it makes you feel empowered. But there was also this academic tinge that I thought being a 5%er was about, and it's always lacking on hip hop. Like even shout out to the amount of wisdom they put on knowledge, wisdom, the build, but like to me, like it's just like it's not all that dense. There's a crow trying to get in on the show. What up?
Oh shit, what up?
He's like, oh, I saw black people in here. Like,
he over there talking God body.
Like, we black, we the only black folks.
Let me lean in here real quick.
Yeah,
the black crow is God.
Yeah, the black crow is God. But you know, like to me, a lot of that shit just kind of rings as very generic and kind of like pseudo intellectual in ways, and I don't like that. But I also love the fact there's very few 5%er MCs like this anymore. There's very few like God body MCs that are really putting down like this hard with styles and unusual. Well, yeah, you know, it fell out of popularity, and I think that, you know, a part of it,
even when it was I mean, so much of it was just the aesthetic of the 5%.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
Like
I mean,
nation, like it wasn't really like
all my 5% heroes.
The thing about the nation for me and the whole 5%, I always think it's like the delivery. It's like the hardest of core rap, right? If they could figure out some way to Snoopy that shit and make it easier, maybe it'll go over a little bit better. That's just me.
Right.
That's just me.
There's also just like they say on the album, there's a part of the album where it's like, yo, you can't find the Supreme Mathematics online. You have to really Google that shit. Yeah. And that's true. And I kind of feel like that's also a failure on the part of a lot of the God bodies. But, you know, aside from that, just going back to the music, because I'll rant on God body shit all day. I haven't been God body for 20 years, but all my friends and family call me Mega, not because that's my stage name or my rap name or artist name. Anytime I was even writing graffiti, rapping, producing, whatever, or even b-boying and breaking, like, it's Master Quality God Allah. And I still kind of, you hear me when I talk to Miles, when I talk to MJ, I still sprinkle all the God body shit into a lot of my slang, and I think it's important and dope. And that's one of the reasons I like Nack, because this motherfucker is ill, dog. Like, he put together some ill ass lines, and it's more interesting to me than repeating the same stories that you hear from like a Boldy James, or not the same stories, but repeating the drug game like Boldy, or repeating the drug game like Benny or Conway. This shit is like a little bit more poetically inclined to be kind of random, and for you to kind of take what you want from it. And he just getting off like he like some of these fucking lyrics is just dope.
Well, I'm glad you brought Boldy up, because I was gonna say this is probably my favorite sort of Griselda adjacent release since Super Tecmo Boat.
Sure.
I think that record
might be the same for me.
Similarly has a lot of the trappings of these Griselda records, you know, a lot of the drug game, you know, this kind of dusty but kind of interesting production. That said, you know, obviously like having Alchemist on your team
does
elevates the record a little bit.
It does help.
But I once you've heard, you know, the whole Griselda apparatus kind of, I don't want to say peaked, but certainly, you know, reached its kind of apogee at What Would Sheen Gun Do, right?
Yeah.
When that came out, that was kind of like, all right, the full, complete mainstream arrival of Griselda as an entity. And not just Griselda, Conway, Benny, Westside, or Griselda, the label, but this era, right? And this sound. But this, for me, feels like a meaningful iteration on that formula. Whereas some of the other stuff we've talked about, even the Conway that dropped, you know, maybe 3 weeks ago, which I also think is very good, but doesn't really meaningfully iterate on that formula. This, I mean, Estee Nack freaks it different. And that's at the core of it why I enjoy this album as much as I do.
You hear a lot of, like, when it comes to this, like, some people call it like neo boom bap, coke rap and shit. Like, a lot of the inspiration for these type of beats, you know, you could trace that shit back to, like, you know what this reminds me of, speaking of that? It's like Supreme Clientele for me. Okay. It's like when Ghost was on his most kind of abstract, and he leaned away from that in the subsequent albums after. But, you know, you listen to that, you listen to like the Stroke of Death beat, and it's almost like a drumless loop that just, the drums are packed into the loop, and it's off beat, it's off kilter, and it's just them getting off, sprinkled with tales of the past, 5% ideology, and some real shit. And that's like the reason I like Nack on this album. I just, like, a lot of the beats didn't get right for me. I do like some of his singing and shit, but I like some of his singing quite a bit, and I don't mind, like Angel Dior. Yes, that sounds like some classic Fly Guy shit. But he's going off.
Angel Dior got easily 5 gold chains from me when I heard this shit. I was just like,
that's one of my favorites.
The hook is so good in the beginning. Like, I didn't know that was the hook. I thought he was just rapping all the way through, and then he just went off into it, and then he just jumped back into it. It was just like, yo. And when he was getting crunk with it, and he was just like, you know, it's it's popping like Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We live here. That was fucked up, but it was getting hot.
Yeah. We live here. Disclaimer: we do not like
Americans in Japan do not hold any kind of.
Exactly.
You should have seen the design for Secret House that I was trying to sell Jet on. It was like a nuclear blast with a door on it in other houses, and Jet was like, "That would be dope
if we didn't live here.
If we lived in literally any other country.
If like the 2 times that it was used weren't against the country we live in one of the most gross ways." But yeah, that shit is dope. I especially like Mass Money Wires featuring Al Divino, who Al, Westside Gunn, and I guess you could say King Asiatic Law are the only features on this album besides the list of producers. And Al Divino and Nack, Estee Nack, to me, they're like a Raekwon and Ghostface super twin collab crew. When they come together, that shit is always dope to me.
Okay.
And I like Mass Money Wires. Bone Conductor, We Have a Problem is still pretty ill. Angel Dior is hot. One of my favorites is Strawberry Milk, produced by Denny LaFleur. I don't know who that is, but yo, he about to hit him with the 2008 Buddha Fist. Like, he's fucking hard.
Yeah.
He's so hard.
Speaking of Tao Commando. All right, this is just me, but just listen to me. The ad libs, right? Right?
Yeah.
Every time I kept hearing that, I was just like, man, God, please let this happen. Please let fucking Rock from fucking Helter Skelter be on this shit. And it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But if it could happen somewhere in the universe, if there's a unicorn, make that shit happen. Because I just feel like Rock and Griselda works.
The voice will be crazy on that. The voice will be crazy on that. Speaking of just wanting features, like there's a lot of sung parts on this, and I can't help but think about like the new Nate Dogg of East Coast rap. I think of Stove God, because he'd be singing and killing the hooks, and Essie's great and proficient at it, and he makes it dope his own way. But I was kind of wondering, with this being like a Griselda curated album, where are the other features? I could hear other cats on this. I would have liked to see other cats on this. So many other cats could have freaked on this album, and added something to it to kind of differentiate itself from other Nack projects. Al Divino and Nack got projects plural together already, and it kind of felt to me like this is a little bit of an underwhelming Griselda piece. A dope Nack album, but underwhelming in terms of like this is almost, I know that most people that listen to Griselda will already be familiar with Nack just because he's already in their proximity. But if this is your coming out party, kind of wanted a little bit different. I kind of wanted more to it. I kind of wanted to feel a little bit more curated.
I kind of like the lack of features on here, honestly. It's a long record, it's 50 minutes, but I feel like Nack is such a distinct identity on the record that he quite easily carries a record by himself without having too much interference. In fact, I was a little annoyed when, on SpaceX, you have a lot of the Westside Gunn presence, the ad-libs and stuff like that. And we went into the next track and it's Westside Gunn again. I was a bit like, oh, okay. I love Westside Gunn. Everybody loves Westside Gunn. And I think this album might actually have the longest boom, 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 boom on it. But I was kind of like,
it's like how many choo-choos before a chugga-chugga?
I'm happy to, exactly. I'm happy to let Nack have his moment in the sun, and I think he freaks it just fine without having to lean towards other MCs for variety. I enjoyed him for the whole runtime of this record.
It's very, very hella New York, dude. Yo, you know what this kind of reminds me of? Feek and Lungs. Some of the tracks, because they're like very sparse kind of beats at times, just going off East Coast New Yorkie. But yeah, that shit is live to me, man.
It's a New Yorkie thing.
Yeah, it's a New Yorkie thing. I got my favorites on here. If y'all got favorites or anything else,
run it.
Anything else to say on this? I think we've been running for a while, to be honest.
I think we're good.
How to use this album?
How do I use it?
How do you use this album?
With mad skill and accuracy. No, I actually, this album for me has kind of been like, damn, I got to go to work.
Yeah, exactly. I put that. I put that down.
It's got to be the work. Like I gotta do something when I put this on. It's like it's not something that. It's something that I can have in the background, but it's not because of the beat. It's because like I'll catch a bar here or there, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm also on my fucking on my Nack shit. Snake shit from niggas is really not surprising. Watch the horizon. On top, I'm prophesizing. I'm like, yeah, I'm watching the horizon too, Nack. I'm also paying attention to that, Nack.
Shit ain't level.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Shit ain't level.
Yeah, but
I fuck with that.
I look at this album like this is like a great workout album. It was just like, all right.
I listened to it in the gym as well, actually.
Yeah.
My
okay.
first
I'm
listen
the only
was in the
motherfucker that
gym.
ain't going to the gym no more.
You ain't gotta go to the gym. Just make sure you do your push-ups.
I'll be lazy with that. Yeah, you right. It's summer. I need to get on a I need to get on a summer bod because I've been letting it go for years now. But yeah. All right, man. My favorite tracks on this album. I like SpaceX. I like Angel Dior. I like Strawberry Milk. Those would probably be my 3 favorites, with the 4th being Mass Money Wires.
I'd probably go with Bon Doctor, We Have a Problem. Green Cellophane I really liked. Strawberry Milk. That'd probably be my top 3.
Okay. Green Cellophane's dope. That guitar loop with just like feedback. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go Strawberry Milk, Tau Commando, and then Angel Dior. That's what we're looking at. That's my top 3 right there.
Hey man, we here for it. Oh yeah, but yeah, man, Estee Nack, we fuck with it. I'm looking forward to doing some more of his work and especially some of the weird shit in the future. Thanks Scott Popular for coming out.
Hey,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Secret House Against the World. Like, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Join the Patreon if you're into that. And yeah, here we go.
You wanna play slide? Slides off limits to Ching Chongs. Fuck you. You wanna play slide? Slides off limits to Ching Chongs. Fuck you.